Peace to the gods and goddesses of planet Kai. Peace meaning positive energy, always creates elevation. Peace to the high vibration human beings within the university. And peace to the ancestors for working through me. We are back, Cosmic Family, with another deep divine download. Audio lectures brought to you by the University of Cosmic Intelligence. If you drink, pull that thing up. If you smoke, roll that thing up. I don't promote drinking or smoking, but if you do it, come as you are. I'll never judge you. I accept you in your divine, true, authentic self. And that is the whole point of me telling you to come as you are, keeping it real over rich. As you know, this information is open to everybody, regardless of race, sexual preference. We do not discriminate within the university. Also, feel free to believe what you want to believe. Feel free to disbelieve what you want to disbelieve. You are not forced to believe anything that is being communicated with you through these lectures. You can look at them simply as conspiracy theories. You can look at them simply as entertainment, or you can take it as truth. I always leave the free will to the listener because I am a spiritual guru. So as a spiritual guru, I will never infringe upon your free will. The number one rule in the cosmos is free will. That is the cosmic law. So all beings, whether gods or human beings, animals, whatever you may be, are sovereign beings, because we are all children of the ancestors. We are all children of Almighty God, of the infinite creator in some form, shape, or fashion. So I will never break or take away from you your free will, for if I do that, I'm in spiritual violation. So once again, this information is open to everybody. I don't care if you're black, white, green, pink, tall, short, skinny, fat, gay, straight. I don't care if you're Christian or Muslim, Catholic, non-denominational. I don't care if you're Crip, Blood, GD, BD. I don't care if you're rich, poor. Like, none of that matters. I only see intentions. I only see your spiritual energy. All right? So, and my disclaimer before we get started is, if you don't like niggas communicating with you over the phone from jail, you don't like hearing a little, you have 1 minute left voice from Securus, exit the motherfucking university now. Thank you, respectfully. All right, to everybody out there that's still, tuning in, downloading the lectures, I appreciate that. For everybody that's still donating, I appreciate that. I am free in the spirit and I am free physically within the flesh. Let's speak what we want it to be. Let's not speak as if it has yet to happen. So let's speak as we want it to be. With that being said, I am free. I am home. And you are free as well. Keep your spiritual eye, your third eye open, and stay open to everything that's going on around you, because as you know, we are in a spiritual war right now. All right, so with that being said, before I roll into this deep divine download, it's imperative that I open it with the right spiritual energy. So with that being said, I'm sending the deepest of insight to everybody within the university, 65 and older, to all the elders. I send the deepest of insight to all my peers, those in the university in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I send the deepest of insight to the blue crystal babies, those is 19, 18, and under that's within the university, wherever you may be. All right. So it's been brought to my attention, by my team and those out there, my wife, that it's a rap artist named Julio Foolio that was just assassinated. I mean, well, not assassinated, but was just murdered and just transcended the realm. I know a lot of the blue crystal babies, the youth that's in the university, 18, 19, and older, will be very familiar with Julio Foolio is. I don't know how familiar those in the university that's the peers or the elders might be with Julio Foolio, but just to give you a quick synopsis of who he was. He basically was a rapper from the Jacksonville, Florida area. He had a huge following amongst the youth. And like a lot of these artists, the young brother had a lot of talent, but however, he was caught up still in the street life, the gang life. And I can't judge him. I never judged the youth, because when I was a teen, I also made a lot of trouble mistakes. Was caught up in the street life. Unfortunately, a lot of black/Latino teenagers, young gods, get caught up in the streets when we in our teenage years. And that's why, a lot of the death rate is so high, and the incarceration rate is so high amongst the youth, within our culture or whatever, right? But pretty much he was he was making a huge impact musically. But as it happens all too often, as we've seen, he had his street issues, and of course he never left the streets. So recently, I think a few weeks ago, I don't know the exact date, but it definitely was recent. The reports rolled out that he was shot and killed while he was leaving his birthday party, his solar day party, his solar return party. So he was celebrating his solar return, and he was shot and killed while celebrating his solar return, leaving his party. And all those involved have been detained and arrested. That's how the reports are rolling out. It was 4 people involved. It was a young goddess involved. She set him up. The way the reports are rolling out, basically Julio Foolio, which is his artist name, he had been posting this location on social media weeks in advance, knowing that he had a gang war going on with gang rivals in the Florida area. Although he's from Jacksonville, I believe, don't quote me verbatim on this, but I believe that he threw the party in Tampa Bay, and he was killed in Tampa Bay. But if you know anything about Florida, Tampa is not that far from Jacksonville. So he was on social media weeks leading up to the murder, and he had posted flyers, letting people know where the party that he was throwing would be at. So if you know how the streets go, he already gave the niggas he into it with a 2-week head up for where he gonna be. And they say that the night of his party, when he landed and when he got to Tampa, he posted his location several times throughout that day. Like everywhere he was moving, he was in his story posting his location. Then when he actually got to his party, he jumped in his story and showed them drinking and having fun at his party, posting his location again. Then as he was leaving the party, he posted his location, letting them know that he was on his way to the after party. So then when he got to the after party, he posted his location again, let them know that he was actually there at the after party and that they was about to leave. So, I mean, if you understand the way it goes nowadays with the youth use the social media to catch up with people they consider ops, right? That they are into a gang war with. They use the phone, they use the apps. That's why you're not supposed to post your location on social media and things like that. Because if you are in tour with somebody, they are now using that nowadays to find out where you are. So from a street sense, just speaking real, he wasn't moving smart. I'm not in the streets no more. I left that lifestyle go. I let that lifestyle go a long time ago. But coming from the streets, I come from that background, and I can tell you that definitely wasn't street smart. If you know you got enemies that's trying to kill you because you didn't allegedly killed their homies, then yeah, it's not smart to post your location like the way he was doing. Because you basically giving the enemy a head up to where you at, so they can plot and plan and wait for you. Even if we are at war and we're in Jacksonville, Florida, and you give me a 2-week advance that you're gonna be in Tampa, it's nothing for me to make plans to be in Tampa. It's not gonna be a far drive. Even though I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I could be in Florida in 4 to 6 hours, right? So it's not a far drive, especially if somebody is trying to kill you and they really want you. So as bad as they wanted this young black guy, this rapper Julio Foolio. Now, to just dive more into the beef of why he might have been killed, these are all allegedly, right? I'm gonna keep using this word allegedly. Because before we go into the spiritual side of what I want to teach about this, I have to enlighten you on who this young artist is, who the young God was, and what he had going on. So he was in a gang war allegedly with another rapper named Young and Ace, who's also from the Jacksonville area. So me being from Chicago, they kind of remind me of how Lil Durk and these Chicago rappers had issues with the rapper FBG Duck that ended up eventually getting killed, right? So you got, before FBG Duck was killed in Chicago, him and Lil Durk, they both in rival gangs. They've been going back and forth dissing each other. Chief Keef, Lil Durk, they BDs. They've been going back and forth dissing the GD rappers, the FBG Ducks, the Lil J's, and the JoJo's and stuff like that for years. And in between all those diss songs they making about each other, they had killed a lot of each other's friends in between that. So, once the blood gets shed, it's no turning back. And you had that going on in Jacksonville between Julio and Young and Ace. Now, I'm not saying this to connect Young and Ace to the case because the case is still open and it's ongoing. And I do understand I have a huge platform, so I don't want nobody to feel like I'm trying to say Young and Ace had anything to do with this or anything like that. I'm just simply enlightening the body on who Julio Foolio was and what he had going on. That does not mean that Young and Ace had anything to do with Julio Foolio getting killed. So that's not what I'm saying. However, him and Young and Ace, they did have a huge, deep beef, and the whole internet knew it. And you know, so right away everybody's gonna immediately suspect that his murder had something to do with Young and Ace. Definitely when Young and Ace was started their beef with him and Julio Foolio was well, let me slow it down. Okay, so Julio Foolio, now that y'all know who he is, let's talk more about his music. So he had talent as an artist, but he was also an artist known for dissing the dead. So of course they got this gang war going on, and when one of his enemies died, he was known for making rap videos at their gravesite, dissing their dead, and things like that. Okay. So now that you understand the type of music he really promoted was more so if somebody got killed that he was into it with, he would make a song and a music video at their gravesite. He would make songs and videos dissing them, the dead, putting their name in his song, saying he's smoking on these dead individuals. And I understand that concept because the whole smoking on the dead ops, all that started with the Chicago culture. That started with our youth. They would kill a rival gang member, then they would say that they smoking on that rival gang member, right? So, of course, that spread around the country, just like, Atlanta popularized a lot of things that spread and influenced the country in Chicago, and you had things that was, started in New York and L.A. and D.C. and, all over. You got things that started in Florida that spread around the country that influenced people. So this whole smoking, killing your rival gang member, and then saying that you're smoking him in the blunt or anything like that, that all was popularized with the young Chicago drill rappers with the Chief Keef era in 2012 on back to now. So, of course, it spread to Florida, and you see Julio Foolio doing a lot of that. So this rapper that he was having a huge disagreement with, what made Julio Foolio real famous was because this rapper Young and Ace, he had a disagreement with. Young and Ace was at on Young and Ace's birthday, if I'm not mistaken, or Young and Ace's best friend birthday. Okay, Young and Ace's best friend had a birthday, and they were in the car. So it was Young and Ace, his best friend whose birthday it was, and two more of their friends. On his best friend's birthday, a car pulled up alongside of them. Shots get fired into the car. Everybody died but Young and Ace. So Young and Ace's best friend, whose birthday it was, whose solar day it was, whose solar return it was that day, he transcended, and two more people in the car transcended. Young and Ace survived it. So Julio Foolio, he made a many diss songs about that triple murder. It was a triple murder / attempt murder. He made a lot of diss songs bragging about the three people that was murdered in that car. And that led to Young and Ace and Julio Foolio exchanging a plethora of diss records aimed at each other over the years. So that's how both of them pretty much got real famous for dissing each other through the songs. So it's ironic that after years of dissing Young and Ace, friend who died on his solar day, Julio Foolio dies the same way. On his solar day, somebody comes and shoot up his car, and everybody in the car survived but Julio Foolio. So it actually went the opposite way, where Julio Foolio on his solar day, somebody pulls up, shoots his car up. Everybody in the car survived, but he died. He transcended. And the artist he was with, this beef started between them years ago, where on the artist Young and Ace best friend birthday solar day, they pull up alongside the car, they fire shots into the car, and everybody dies except Young and Ace. So everybody transcends except Young and Ace. So the reports rolling out that if you look at the Julio Foolio video, from what I'm hearing, it was a bunch of young goddesses, young women around him on his solar day at the party, and you can see them in the videos from what everybody is saying. From what I'm hearing, you can see the young goddesses, and one of those goddesses that was at his party, that had been traveling around with him all that day, she actually had something to do with setting him up, which doesn't shock me. That's why you gotta watch who you hanging around and who's in your circle. They have arrested, like, I believe 4 or 5 people, for what I'm hearing, connected to this Julio Foolio shooting. Alright, so that's who Julio Foolio is. And that's what he had going on as an artist. Alright? So now you have a understanding of who Julio Foolio is, if you didn't know. But like I say, he was very popular and is very popular amongst the youth. Alright, so now let's talk about the spiritual side of what happened with his situation. Alright, as you know, the name of this lecture is called, it has to deal with invoking spirits. And I'm saying that because a lot of the young guys do not understand that when they having their gang wars, and they kill their enemy, when they started this trend of actually dissing that enemy they killed, making fun of the enemy, transcended, talking about they rolling up backwoods and king palms and saying they smoking on their enemy. Well, when you're doing that, you're invoking the spirit of your enemy. You have to understand something spiritually that a lot of the young guys don't understand, all right? When a person transcends, because they are spirit and soul, you can summon their spirit back to this realm. Especially for those souls and spirits that are not stuck on the realm. You know, at the moment we transcend, 2 things happen. Either you keep going on and ascending to higher planes, cosmic planes of existence, higher spiritual planes, or you descend and you go down to Hades, where you are awaiting a rebirth to work for Satan. If you sold your soul or you didn't do the right things, you're going to descend. And then now Zeus, aka Shaitan, is going to use your soul, which is magnetism, as a food source, or he's going to, as new bodies come into this realm, new avatars are created, he's going to send your spirit back into this realm. So just like we can leave this realm and then we go back up into the higher cosmos or the heavens, and we can come back and reincarnate to do the will of Almighty God, the ancestors, you can also, if you binded your soul over in your past life, you can come back here and now you're forced to do the will of Lord Zeus, aka Satan. This is why some people in this world, they do evil. You have 1 minute left. They do evil and they will never change. The reason they will never change is because this is not their first lifetime here, like it's not yours. In their last lifetime, they might have sold their soul or bonded themselves over to Satan, Lord, aka Lord Zeus. So by doing that, when they come back and get a new body or a new avatar or a new vessel in this lifetime, they have to do the will of their God, which is Lord Zeus. This is why you got certain people, you like, damn, why they so evil? Or why she always doing? She has to. She has to fulfill her soul contract. Just like we got a soul contract that you sign with Almighty God to do righteous, people that bind themselves to Lord Zeus have a soul contract to do negative things because that's their mission in this lifetime. Okay? You gotta understand that, cosmic family. You gotta understand that. Well, I'm gonna give you a second to let that sink in. Thank you for using. Okay, so sorry about that. But like I was saying, you have to understand that, and a lot of people don't understand that. You are not the flesh, okay? You are the, once again, I'm gonna keep reiterating this because I know me just saying it once or twice, or even 1,000 times, it's still not just going to sink in because you have to really meditate on it. You are not the flesh. But when you waking up every day, you see yourself as flesh because you see a body. No, you are the spirit and soul and mind within the flesh. That's what you are at the core. You have had 1,000,000 bodies. You have had many lifetimes. Okay? So to understand how the spiritual plane works, when somebody transcends, they're either going to ascend to a higher spiritual plane or they're going to descend and go down to Hades, which is the lowest realm. And in Hades is where hell is located, and that's where all of those who had participated in negative energy and who sided with Zeus, aka Satan, in their last lifetime, that's where they go. And for those individuals who side with Almighty God and do righteousness in this lifetime, when they transcend, we continue on to the higher spiritual planes. We go back home to the heavens and the higher spiritual planes, known as the cosmos, to be with Almighty God and stand in righteousness. And then you got those individuals who become what's known as lost souls and lost spirits, which is a real thing. Sometimes when a person transcends because they hadn't chosen a side in their lifetime, So they kind of play both sides against the middle. They'll go through a phase of they be stuck here on this material plane. Okay, so you got to understand, it takes a soul, a God is an individual with a spirit and a soul. So when the gods transcend, when the gods and goddesses transcend, it takes 72 man-made 72 man-made days to fully transcend the realm. Whereas with a human being, it takes them 6 man-made months. Okay, so in that process, that means the spirit and soul of that individual is still here. So while that spirit and soul is still here, they're still roaming, right? And there's a lot of things that can happen in that period. This is normally the period when a lot of souls get led into that moonlight, and then they are forced to reincarnate. That's the solar system where they like I told you about the fake moon, where they blind your soul with this moonlight, and then because if you never fully awaken or reach the state of true spiritual enlightenment, the moment you see that white light, you're going to believe this is leading you to heaven, right? Because this is what they teach you in religion. And then the souls go into that white light, and then they have EMF containers, which EMF stands for electromagnetic force field containers. You have actual scientists on the dark side of the moon, which is the actual base, because I told you the moon is a holographic image, it's not real. So on the other side of the moon, which is known as the dark side of the moon, you have actual NASA scientists who is sitting there with these EMF containers. So as these souls go into the light and float into the light, they have EMF containers, electromagnetic force field containers, which captures the spirit and the soul. Okay, and then what they do is they bleach the soul of its memories and they beam the soul back down to the planet. So that's what you call forced reincarnation, or this is what's known as the true solar system. And this is what happens to a lot of souls because they don't have spiritual enlightenment. Okay, however, you have other souls who have reached spiritual enlightenment in this lifetime. So when it's time to transcend, in those 72 days, they don't go into that light. They stay course and they transcend the realm completely and move on to higher spiritual realms. But then you have other souls who they don't even get the chance to go toward the light because they already did so much evil and corruptness in this lifetime that they immediately descend and they descend down to Hades. Hades is the lower realm, and that's where what you know as hell is located at, right? So when they're down there in Hades, that's when Lord Zeus elects to know their next soul contract. Either he's going to keep their soul and use their soul as a source of energy, a source of food, or he's going to send their soul back into this realm in the next lifetime. So while somebody's waiting, when they get pregnant, they're waiting. Once the body gets created, just like you have souls, we choose our parents, good souls, and we come back to do good things. You have souls that choose their parents and they come back to do negative things. So you have that going on. This is how the spiritual realm work now. This is how the spiritual realm work. And then, but what you better understand is when a soul or spirit transcends the realm, or whether they descend the realm or not, if you know their name, you can't summon them. You can't invoke them. So anybody that practices Ifa will tell you that, because Ifa is not a religion. Ifa literally is anybody that's doing spiritual work. When you practice Ifa, that means you practice doing spiritual work. So that can be all different forms of white magic, black magic. That can be that's tarot reading, that's astrology, that's scrying, that's all these different things. That's palm reading, that's doing spell work, that's doing rituals. All of that falls under Ifa. So because we have been lied to about Ifa and about our natural magical abilities, an individual don't understand it. The way you can summon somebody is by calling their name. Okay, you have to remember when the human beings came to our planet, this is what the Moors became guilty of, because the Moors, who started to enlighten and civilize human beings when they were first discovered in the Caucasus Mountains, they started teaching the human beings how to invoke the angels, how to summon these spirits. And this is why to this day you have a lot of powerful witches and a lot of powerful warlocks, and what they do is they summon the help of these fallen angels. They invoke the help of these evil spirits. Well, you can do the same thing. If you know the names of certain angels, you can call upon them and summon them. If you know the name of certain gods, you can call upon them and summon them. If you know the names of certain titans, certain spiritual families, certain extraterrestrial races, if you know them by name, you can summon them. Because remember, your name holds your spiritual imprint within the name. All right? So that's just like if you walking down the street, and if your name is Keisha, and I say, hey, Keisha, yo, check it out, Keisha, you're going to turn around, even if you don't want to, because your name is Keisha. That's why if somebody keep calling your name, it irritates you. You'll have somebody keep calling your name over and over again, you get irritated. Even if you're trying to ignore them, if they keep saying Keisha, 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 it's your spiritual energy is tied to your name. It's your nature, it's within your name. So if I keep calling you, I'm going to summon. That's called summoning you or invoking you. Okay? So that's why when you make an altar, you can summon any physical ancestor. Because you got two different types of ancestors. You got your cosmic ancestors, which is like the Most High Almighty God and all the different spiritual families, and the mothers of creation and stuff like that. And then you have your physical ancestors. Those are the ancestors that come through your mom and your dad while in this incarnation, while in this reality. So let's say your granddaddy died. If your granddaddy's name was Frank, you can make an altar, put a picture on the altar, and summon your granddad's spirit by saying his name. I summon his name. His spirit is gonna come to you. Because remember, the spirit and the soul never dies. Right? Right? Okay. So but unbeknownst to these artists, if they kill somebody named John and then they say, I'm smoking John, and they keep saying that, they don't even know it. They're summoning John's spirit back to them. Now, in the situation where we're dealing with a lot of the young rappers, the young guys who was already living a evil life, who was already doing Satan's work, even though you might have killed him, he never died, remember, because he's spirit and soul. So technically, all you did was deport his soul and spirit out of his avatar. So guess what? Now, if you make a song and you said he's saying his name, every time you say his name, you're giving power to his name, and you're summoning him, and you're invoking his spirit. Now, when his spirit eventually comes to you because you said he's saying his name, you saying you smoking on him, you think you dissing him because he's already transcended in your mind because you're spiritually unaware of how it works. But when you saying his name, his spirit is still attached to that name. Okay, let's use myself for example. I've had 5 incarnations on this planet. Most of us will not remember our incarnations, but I do because I am a divine being. One of my incarnations, I would say my last one, was Toussaint in the Haitian Revolution. Every time you say Toussaint's name, you're going to invoke my spirit towards you because that's the name of one of my incarnations. If you say my name, Rashad Jamal, you're invoking my spirit and my soul towards you. Whether you're talking bad about me or good about me, you are giving me force because you are saying my name. So you're strengthening me, and then you're invoking my spirit and pulling my energy towards you. That's how it works. So when these rappers are dissing the dead, John get killed, you diss John. And John is an angry spirit now because he died with unfulfilled material desires. John was killed on his way to the store. So guess what? He's not going to ascend because he has too much negative energy on his spirit. He can only do 2 things. He can either descend down to Hades or he going to roam the planet until his spirit and soul is free. You got a lot of spirits and souls just roaming this motherfucker. Angry spirits because they hear. They see you, but you don't see them. Can you imagine how pissed off you would be? You would be pissed off too. You can see everybody walking around, but they can't see you. You have a lot of that going on. Y'all better go watch that movie Ghost from the early 90s with Whoopi Goldberg. That whole movie was based on how it really be. Remember the white boy, he was a ghost? The only person that could see him was Whoopi Goldberg because she was the spiritual medium. His spirit was still roaming. And remember, every time somebody died, they were showing you the spiritual side. Nigga died and them black spirits to come drag their ass away. Those are those spirits that will drag you to Hades when you side with Zeus. But if you notice the white boy, he never got dragged. He was roaming around because he wasn't a bad spirit. You got a lot of that. So sometimes people get killed and their spirits and souls just still roam. And their spirits and souls still roaming and you dissing them, you're summoning and invoking them. Now, if they're an angry spirit, you're going to attract them to you. So whatever they went through, you're going to attract that to you because now they're going to come to you. Now they're going to ride you. They're going to ride your aura. And you're keeping them alive through you every time you say their name. So if you notice, that's why a lot of these rappers, when somebody died, they diss the nigga that died. Then what happened? They end up getting their ass killed. It's a lot of that. Go look at the hip-hop community. Every time a rapper one of their ops get killed, and they make a song dissing them and making fun of their ops get killed, they get killed a few weeks later or a few months later or a year or two later. They be the same way. That's because you have invoked the spirit of the person that got killed when you was dissing them and making fun of them. So when we look at a Julio Foolio, that's what he was doing. He didn't know it, but He literally made a living dissing the dead. So it's no coincidence that one of your main people you dissing, they died on their birthday. 4 people in the car. The person whose birthday it was killed, along with 2 other people, and 1 person survived. The person that survived was the rapper he beefed with Younger Days. But then a few years later, after all this dissing them and making fun of them that died in that car on their birthday, you turn around and end up in the shooting on your birthday, and everybody survived but you. It's not a coincidence. That's because when you was doing all that dissing that individual, you was steady summoning his spirit. Julio Foolio was invoking the spirit of the people that died. That's why the murder happened to him the exact same way. The exact same way. It happened on his birthday, but the only difference is he didn't survive. Everybody else survived. He died. But with his op he was dissing, they got shot up on their birthday. Everybody died, but one of them survived. It happened the same way, just in reverse. So I'm telling the youth, the young guys out there that follow the platform, stop dissing the dead. Stop saying you smoking on your dead homie. If y'all got y'all street war, I want y'all to put the guns down, but I do understand the streets. Once blood gets shed, that's hard to do. So I'm not going to forget that. But I will say this. I can't judge you for living the lifestyle you live in. I don't want you living like that. I want you to find yourself and find peace so we can work together, because we got a real enemy to fight in the spiritual warfare. But for those individuals that are still in the streets doing that, at least stop dissing the dead. Once he transcends, it's over with. Move on. But if you're going to make fun of him dying, make videos about him dying, go to his grave site and dig it up, and all this new shit that's going on, you're going to invoke his spirit towards you. And now that spirit is going to ride you. And now you have now just attract that same fate to you. And that's the reason why you see so much of that in the hip-hop community. Because the young gods are invoking spirits that don't even know it. You're summoning spirits with your words. Their spirits specifically. They didn't leave. That's why I keep emphasizing we are spirit, soul, and mind. This is just a vehicle. You know how many vehicles that we come across? You know how many vehicles we have? That's just like, now it's a little moth. Literally, a baby moth is crawling on this wall right here. That moth has a spirit, soul, and a mind. In its last lifetime, it might have had a regular body like me. But in this lifetime, it has the body of a moth. But it has the same spirit and soul and mind I have. It is part of creation like I'm part of creation. This is what we must understand. Stop looking at things as flesh. That's just your vehicle. That's just your car. The real you is the spirit, soul, and mind within it. All right? So, I say rest in peace to Julio Foolio. Happy transcendence to his soul. Hopefully he's in a better place. And if he does reincarnate, hopefully in his next lifetime, that he's going to live on a more positive note, right? Because I do believe that he will return, because if you have unfulfilled material desires, those things make you reincarnate. If you have unfinished karma, that makes you reincarnate. Or sometimes you can choose to come back. Due to the fact that he had an inspiring music career, and I'm a spiritual guru that deals in the spiritual realms, I can almost assure you that Julio Foolio, soul and spirit, will come back to this reality. And it's going to take 9 months. He'll be back in 9 months, because you got to remember, he has to find a whole new parent. And then that parent has to go through the process of creating a body for him, and that takes 9 months. So literally, if a soul and spirit is going to come back, you literally come back 9 months to the date that you left here. Unless you volunteer to return. So that means you transcend the realm. You didn't have to come back. But then when you did come back, you came back because you volunteered. That means you can come back 50 years later, 100 years, 1,000 years later. Like me, I came back almost 100 years later. See what I'm saying? Almost 200 years later to be exact. But that's because on this incarnation, I volunteered. But the other incarnations where I didn't volunteer, I was coming back in 9 months. 9 man-made months. Because you have to wait for a body to be created for you, right? The body's just a vehicle. So 9 months to the date that Julio transcended, he'll be back here in a whole new body. And hopefully in that lifetime, he'll learn the lesson from his lifetime and move a little differently. And that go like that for all the guys. But I know his family, they might not be that spiritually in tune to understand that. So I'm not making fun of him transcending. This is not to disrespect him. I'm bringing spiritual awareness to his situation and to the young guys out there that's in the hip-hop that's also going through the same thing. So once again, my condolences go to his family, because I do understand and overstand that everybody's not spiritual spiritually enlightened on what we believe, what we have been told to look at as death, because death is not real. You know, you transcend the realm. Birth is not real. You laying here. You was somewhere else before you came here, so you was never born. You can never die. The soul and spirit is immortal, direct reflection of Almighty God. You'll never die. You'll have different incarnations. You'll have different bodies. You'll have different lifetimes, different realities. But as far as the soul and spirit, that'll never die. And science proves that. The soul and spirit is electricity and magnetism, which is simply forms of energy, cosmic forces. And energy don't die, it dissipates. So I just want to bring spiritual awareness to what's going on with the youth and the community, and to stop saying y'all smoking on these on the dead ops. Stop making fun of people when they die and they get killed because y'all was at a war, a senseless war. You know, I have to enlighten you on that, because when you do that, you're going to attract that spirit to you. You're going to invoke that spirit, and you're going to meet the same exact fate. And we see it time and time again. You know what I'm saying? Time and time again. But this is why, because people don't understand the spiritual significance of it. So once again, shout out to Julio Foolio family and all of his fans. I know that they are grieving right now because a lot of us don't understand, you know, death or birth. We think it's the end. But if they knew it wasn't the end, then they know it's not the end. His spirit and soul is still in the spiritual realm. That'll never die. He's just going to have to wait to get a new body and come here as a baby all over again and do it all over again. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I want to enlighten you on. All right, with that being said, be sure to tune in to class next week. Be sure to spread this information via TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, these audio lectures, man. Once again, rest in peace to Julio Foolio. My condolences goes out to his family. And I want the young guys out there to come together. Because when we killing each other, all you're going to do is end up incarcerated like I am, or you're going to end up transcending and either going to side and either going to the zoos or coming back here all over again until you learn the lesson and get it right. All right, we are in a spiritual warfare. So these spirits want blood. They yearn to live again. So they want y'all doing that. Remember, all the bloodshed is being shed to fall and feed off that, because the life force is in the blood. So they want the bloodshed so they can feed off that. Remember that. They're stuck here. I'm talking about the fallen. I'm talking about Lord Zeus, a.k.a. Satan, and Lucifer and his whole army. All the fallen angels, evil spirits, and devils running up, they are all here. You have 1 minute left. All right, so remember that, Cosmic family. I love y'all deeply. Once again, I send my condolences out to Julio Foolio and his family. Once again, I'm not implying that Young and Ace had anything to do with this. I send my support out to him. And I just want all the young guys and our people and people in general, the gods and humanity, to come together under the power of divine love and peace. With that being said, I leave as I come, which is in divine love and perfect peace. Ashe. Peace to the gods and goddesses of planet Kai. Now we rise. One.